What are the worst luxury SUVs that you should never buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. I'm going to share the absolute worst luxury SUVs that you can buy for 2025. Whether it's poor reliability, terrible value, or appalling depreciation, buying any one of these luxury vehicles is the easiest way to burn your money and empty your bank account. So let's begin with the first SUVs in the number 10 spot, which are a tie between the Infiniti QX50 and QX55. Among the smaller sized luxury SUVs, the QX50 and QX55 are easily two of the worst choices available today. Basically, the two are the same vehicle, the only difference being the QX50 has a normal SUV shape, whereas the QX55 has a sportier coupe-like roofline. Otherwise, both share everything in common, including an underwhelming and potentially troublesome VC turbo engine, shared with the Nissan Altima, which is under investigation by NHTSA for experiencing complete failures. Coupled to the problematic engine is an equally bad CVT transmission that does not feel like it belongs in a luxury vehicle and has a history of a high failure rate as well. On top of their questionable reliability, the QX twins are just disappointing and underwhelming SUVs in every other possible way. They are not especially great to drive, they have disappointing interiors with shockingly outdated technology, and because they are so expensive and overpriced, the resale value is absolutely dismal. The only reason I didn't put these two higher on the list is because Infiniti is practically giving them away with huge cash discounts and even potentially 0% financing. But even that's not enough for me to recommend them. Moving on to the next SUV on the list, in the number 9 spot, we have another small crossover, which is the BMW X2. This may very well be the worst vehicle that BMW currently makes. And when I tested it earlier in 2024, I struggled to find any reason why anyone would consider buying it. It's small and cramped, it has a stiff, uncomfortable ride, the powertrain is unrefined, with a horrible engine start-stop feature, and a dual-clutch transmission that's so jerky that it has recently led to a major class action lawsuit. All of which just makes you feel like you bought a lemon worth less than half its asking price. The interior is also a bit of a mess with no physical controls, a small touchscreen, and no real sense of actual luxury. And because it's a BMW, long-term repair costs, reliability, and resale value are predictably not very good. I'm puzzled as to why anybody would buy this, especially at its price. And based on its very poor sales, thankfully it seems that very few actually are. The next SUV that comes in the number 8 spot is the Maserati Grecale. You would expect a vehicle with a Maserati badge to be exciting, luxurious, and feel quite special, like you're getting your money's worth, but the Grecale fails to deliver any of those things. When I tested one earlier in the year, it just felt like a generic, underwhelming SUV that might as well have a Kia badge. I could not fathom how anyone could possibly spend close to 6 figures on one. Not to mention that they have a terrible reputation for build quality, they are hideously expensive to repair, and to top it off, Maseratis have among the worst depreciation of any automaker. The Levante, the Grecale's bigger twin, suffers from the same issues while being even more expensive to purchase. So, if you want to just burn your money away, these are the vehicles that will definitely do it. Next up on the list, we have our first electric SUV in the number 7 spot, and that is the Tesla Model X. Although one could make a strong case for the popular Model Y, the Model X is a vehicle that feels past its expiration date. Aside from the extra space, there isn't much that you are getting for the massive price premium over the Model Y. And not only is it incredibly overpriced, but it also happens to be the most problematic and least reliable Tesla in the lineup, and the one that suffers the worst depreciation. It's no wonder why so few buyers go for these anymore. They are just not worth the money. Another luxury SUV that you should not bother with is the one in the number 6 spot, and that is the Lincoln Aviator. The Aviator is Lincoln's version of the Ford Explorer, its platform twin, a large 3-row crossover SUV. Only it's not a very good one. The Aviator has been plagued with a ridiculous number of recalls and reliability complaints over the years, to the point where you really can't put any faith into them lasting a reasonable length of time. And not only are they unreliable and poorly made, but the Aviator just does not deliver the quality, luxury, or the experience that one would expect when spending this much money on a vehicle. This is another overpriced SUV that will just turn into a massive depreciation nightmare, so stay away. Now, as bad as the Aviator is, the next luxury SUV in the number 5 spot takes overpriced to a whole nother level, and that SUV is the Infiniti QX80. Infiniti just redesigned the QX80 for 2025, making it far more luxurious and advanced than ever before. But with the design change came an eye-popping price increase. If you want a nicely equipped one, you now need to spend well over $100,000, which is just a ridiculous amount of money for an Infiniti. Not to mention the fact that Infiniti ruined the one great thing about the old QX80, which was its solid and proven V8 engine, replacing it with a new twin-turbo V6 engine, basically borrowed from the small Q50 sedan. Even more concerning is that Infiniti seems to be a dying brand that's really holding on by a thread, which is not something that you want to buy. And I can almost guarantee that anyone who pays over 6 figures for one of these things will regret it and be suffering a massive loss in no time at all. The next luxury vehicle, or vehicles I should say, that I'm putting in the number 4 spot are any one of Mercedes' EQ models. These include the EQB, EQE, and EQS. These are the all-electric SUVs which Mercedes introduced a few years back, and quite simply, they have been a complete disaster for the brand. Mercedes really under-delivered with their electric EQ lineup, creating SUVs that are just underwhelming in almost every aspect. Poor range, poor build quality, poor finishes and luxury, while being insanely overpriced at the same time. It's no wonder why they are not selling and lose an insane amount of value even within the first year. Even Mercedes has realized their error and have announced that the EQ lineup will likely be dropped so they can move into a different direction. So don't waste your money on one of these, otherwise you might as well just be throwing your money down the drain. And now getting into the top 3 worst luxury SUVs. In the number 3 spot, we have the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. Jeeps in general are now incredibly expensive and overpriced, but the Wagoneer really takes this to a whole nother level. I mean, imagine spending well over $100,000 on a Jeep. And even though the Wagoneer is trying to appear luxurious, this is still a Jeep at the end of the day, with typical Jeep flaws. Build quality and reliability are just not very good. Ongoing repair issues are quite normal with these vehicles, which is made worse by the fact that these are by far the most overly complicated vehicles that Jeep makes. Luckily, these seem to be joining the list of ultra slow selling vehicles that almost nobody wants, which again means that heavy depreciation and losing a ton of money on one of these is a given. So please don't do it. And next up on the list, we have the runner-up second worst luxury SUV that you can buy, and that vehicle is the Jaguar F-Pace. Jaguar is not in a good place right now. The company has discontinued their entire lineup of vehicles for 2025, all except for one just here in North America, the F-Pace, which is still available in the North American market as its sole vehicle. So the obvious question becomes, why on earth would anyone buy it? Jaguar is a brand that is clearly in trouble and does not have a great looking future at this point. And not only that, but the F-Pace is an SUV with next to nothing going for it. Poor reliability, overpriced, awful depreciation, you name it. And it will soon be discontinued like the rest of the lineup. So buying one at this point just seems like total craziness. But it's not as crazy as buying the next luxury SUV in the number 1 spot. And that vehicle is the Land Rover Range Rover. The Range Rover may be iconic for its go-anywhere off-road ability, impressive luxury, and image. But beyond that, this is really just another overpriced, high-risk money pit that is best to avoid. Range Rovers are as famous for their luxurious off-road image as they are for their awful reliability and high repair costs. And it really doesn't matter which version you buy, problems with these vehicles are just endless, sometimes right from brand new, and everything that goes wrong with them just becomes an outrageously expensive repair nightmare. And because they are so poorly made and expensive to repair, depreciation is predictably bad as they age, becoming next to worthless once the protective blanket of the warranty expires. So don't be fooled by the status, image-based lure of the Range Rover lineup regardless of the model, because when it comes to value and spending your money wisely, they really don't get much worse than this. So there you have it, the worst luxury SUVs to avoid for 2025. Do you agree or disagree with my choices? Are there any vehicles that I might have missed? And do you have a horror story to share about any of these vehicles? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching and see you next time.